Hi folks, welcome to Moon Hoax, the mysterious Apollo 17 rover, completely exposed as a fake. Now what we're going to be doing in this video is taking a very good look at this here rover, AS17-143-21933. Now many have asked questions regarding this photo of this rover. Some have saying, what's wrong with it? It doesn't look right. It doesn't look the same as the others. They can't understand why it doesn't look the same. Well, I can tell you there's many reasons for this not looking the same, folks. I can find at least 10 or 11 faults with this photo that proves that it is not a genuine photo of the rover, but a build-up using Photoshop. Okay, to begin with, let's take a look at what NASA states about this photo, shall we? Now, in that description, did you notice where it stated the rover's final resting place? Now, according to my understanding, it would never be moved from this place, if that's its final resting place. So one must ask the question, how come we've got at least 8 photos done with this rover in different locations after this one? Can anyone give me a credible explanation for that? The only explanation that I think is credible is that, as I said, they never went to the moon, they faked the landings, every one of these rover photos are faked, and after this one, which was 5 or 6 years ago, the final resting place, they simply decided to make some new photos in the last 4 or 5 years. That's the only credible explanation I can see. Now, next thing to notice is, as well as this rover photo 21933, there were actually 4 photos taken. We've got 21931, 21932 and 21934, and here they are. The only difference being that the camera has moved, or the astronaut taking the photo has moved. He's changed his position for each shot. Let's take a look at the other description, shall we? The description of this one here, which is 21932. There you are. We've looked at 2 of these photos and we've observed NASA's descriptions. Now, let me say, over the last 5 or 6 years, the most common question I've ever come across regarding this rover was, why did they stop it 100 yards from the LEM? If they were just going to park it up, get in the LEM and come home, why stop it 100 yards from the LEM? Why didn't they just drive it straight up to the LEM, get out of the rover, get in the LEM and come home? Now, another 2 questions I've been asked about this rover is, 1, why does the rear wheels look a lot larger than the front wheels? And how come this rover looks as if it's swiveling? It doesn't look as if it's turning tidy with the wheels independently turning. It looks as if the chassis has bent, swiveled round. Something we know that the original chassis for the Jeep did not have any swiveling point in it at all. So why is it looking as if it's swiveling? Well, I'll sort out those 2 points a bit later on. So in the meantime, let's take a look at the more irrefutable evidence that none of the NASA nutters can dispute. Okay, what we're going to be looking at now is shadows, or non-shadows. Now, if you look at that lem, the back of the lem is facing us. Now, as all the nutters and NASA have claimed in the past, they landed with the back of the lem facing the sun. So, just look at the arrow I've got. That is the way the sun should be shining, so that is the way all the shadows should be facing. They should all be going the same as that red arrow, folks. Now, here's another photo from an earlier video of mine where I dealt with shadows. Now, according to NASA, they landed these lems at 13 degrees to the sun. So, if they all landed exactly the same angle to the sun, all of the shadows should be going in exactly the same direction, and they should have one thing in common, and that is the length. Now, what I've done with this astronaut here, I've worked out the length of the shadow compared to the height of the astronaut. And as you can see, every shadow should be around about 4 to 4.5 times that of the height of the object. That should be the same for every single object, folks. 4 to 4.5 times the height of the object. Now, what we're going to look here now is the shadows. The shadows under this rover, as pointed out by another subscriber of mine, they are all fake. They are too short, and they're under the rover just as if the sun was directly overhead. Look at the shadow from the front wheel, and it looks to be no more than about 8 to 9 inches. Does that look like 4.5 times the height of the wheel? Definitely not. So all the shadows you can see there are completely fake. Now, the next thing, if the shadows should be going from this rover towards the lem, where's the shadow for this dish aerial? How high is the aerial? It must be about 7 foot because it's up higher than the height of an astronaut. So we should have a shadow in front of that about 28 foot long. At least 28 foot long, folks. There is no shadow whatsoever from that dish aerial. The next thing is the front wheel. What's the front wheel? I think it's about 30 inches from what I read. So, there should be a shadow from that front wheel going towards the lem at least 10 foot long to comply with the calculations I done in an earlier video. Now, the next thing, look at the back of the lem. If that's about 4 foot high, it should be casting a shadow forward towards the lem of about 16 to 18 feet. And if you take away the length of the rover, say 8 feet, then there should be a shadow in front of the front wheels towards the lem of about 10 feet. There is no shadows at all going to the lem from any part of this rover, folks. The shadows are completely missing. Now, the next anomaly we've got to tackle here is the tracks. There is not one track behind any of these wheels. Where's the tracks? There's only footprints here you can see from the right side of the rover coming round to the back. Now what that indicates is the astronaut driving this rover was on the right hand side. He got out on the right hand side. He left footprints to come round and come to the back of the rover to take this photo. Now, another question to ask NASA here. If these astronauts just drove this rover to this point, just to abandon it and walk to the lem, then why leave it in a turning position, as they are trying to show here? That doesn't make sense. There are no crossroads, there are no T-junctions, so why turn the rover? Well, I'm going to be proving to you that they never did such a thing in some of the photos now. Now, take a look at this crop section here at the back. We've got two very good points to note here. One being a set of boot prints coming from the right seat of the rover, where the astronaut taking this photo seems to have got off the rover, walked around and to his position at the back of the rover to take this photo. But, like I keep telling you, it's all lies, it's all fake. Now, getting back to this rover here, which everybody agrees it looks as if it's turning, it's claimed by NASA that this rover had 4-wheel independent steering. And here's a few examples of that type of steering coming up. There you are, there's one there, a pretty modern one as you can see, but it clearly displays the 4-wheel steering. There's no mistaking these wheels are turning, aren't they? And another one here. Sorry for the quality of the photo, but looks like a pretty modern one, but you can distinctly see the wheels are turning. Now, here's another one. A very old Jeep by the look of it, maybe one of the first ever made. You can definitely see the wheels are turning here. There's nothing suspicious about the body, is there? Now folks, after studying this rover for many hours, I can now say that I have finally concluded as to why this rover looks so odd. It doesn't look right. And what I should be doing is providing loads and loads of evidence to back up my theory for this rover. One thing that stands out a mile here is the difference in size to the back wheels compared to the front. Well, you'd expect that, a little bit of that, but take a look at this photo coming up. Now, they're about the same distance apart. Does there seem to be the same difference in size to these wheels? They look both the same size to me, or hardly any difference in the back one to the front one. Now folks, take a look at this here. Here's what I've concluded has been done to this rover photo. What we've got here is 3 sections stitched together to give an impression of a rover turning. What we've got is a section A, which is a front wheel, a section B, which is a front section of another rover, and a section C, which is the back end of this rover. What I've done here is just split them up, just to give you a rough idea of what has gone on. And look what I've done here. Those 3 sections I just shown you, I've now reduced the back end, the size, the back end C, so the back wheels are now smaller than the front. That's showing how easy it was to make up the photo that they initially done here. And what we're going to be looking at now is evidence to prove that that is what happened, folks. Take a look at this photo coming up. There you are. I've tried to make it a bit clearer here by just putting all these arrows along the line where they joined it. And if you look at the 2 bottom arrows on the left, you'll see the white line there going up and then horizontally across. Now what I've done here is traced the bottom of the chassis, box chassis, along, and as you can see from the front to the back they do not line up. And here, top of the chassis on the left to top of the chassis on the back, they do not line up either. Now we've got a complete photo of a rover here. What I want you to notice in this one is, look at the line from the top of the front camera through the top of the control panel in the center and the top of the seat. They all seem to be in about the same level, all the same height, folks. Now look what I've done here for you. I've combined 2 rovers here, one from Apollo 15, AS15-85-11438, a photo taken from the back end, and as you'll notice it's sloping up towards the left. Now the other one is the one we're concerned with, AS17-143-21932, slightly sloping up to the right. The back ends of these are nearly what you could call a mirror image, both taken from roughly the same angle, just one from the left and one from the right. Now let's do a wheel comparison. On the left, the wheel I've marked A, it looks pretty much the same as the wheel on the rover on the right, marked D. You can see just about the same amount of detail, it's just one from the left and one from the right. And for the left photo, the wheel I've got marked B, you can see just a small bit of the side of that, And it's nearly the same with the wheel C on the right hand photo. So what do you think, folks? According to this, the front wheels for both of these should be roughly the same, but they are not. You can see the wheels on the one on the left, they are parallel with the back ones, but on the one on the right, the one we're discussing, it's entirely different. Here's the proof, what I said, that what we've got here is two Rovers, or three sections, a wheel, a center section and a back section, all stitched together to give the impression that it is turning. Now, like I just said about the level of the back seat and the camera, look at the Apollo 15 rover on the left, and you can see there the back, top of the back seat is the same level as the front camera, as the two arrows are indicating. But if you look on the photo of the right, the seat, the top of the seat is higher than the front camera. Now that confirms what I told you, that the back end of this one has been zoomed up. It's been enlarged. And that's why you'll find out that an aerial on the right hand rear of it is a lot higher than the dish aerial on the front left. Here you are, a cropped section and enlarged. What you can see by the letter B is the top of the front camera. Now, in the red text, you can see the arrow at the top showing the top of the seat. You notice the big difference in them. There you are again confirming what I said. The back section that contains the seat has been enlarged. That's why it looks bigger than the front. Now take a look at this here. Something interesting here that you'll find most clear on 21932. Now what I think we've got here is a whistleblower's clue. Just look at this crosshair. It is not perfectly black right the way through and up and down, is it? It's dark and light. But look at this black rectangular sheet of paper. Any of you see anything special about that? Well, look at that black line going across the top of it. What is the purpose of that? One thing you can see from it, it is the same black as the crosshair. It is the same thickness. It's the same pencil that done the crosshair. What they're telling us here is these crosshairs are not from the camera. We penciled all of them in, and that's why they've drawn that black line across. So there you are, folks. That just about wraps up the analysis of this fake Rover photo.